The time is at hand.
From deep in the Appalachian Mountains in Williamson, West Virginia, this is In Dark Places. Crackheads unite! Go team! This week on the show I have some Appalachian UFO reports for you from the month of June 2026, as reported to Peter Davenport at the National UFO Reporting Center. Our first report comes from Erie, Pennsylvania, June 2nd, 10:59 p.m. A very bright shimmering object that was large at first, and then it became smaller. I was looking at the stars, and mind you, there is only 3 or 4. As I look over toward the east, there is one that would catch my eye. It was very much larger and brighter as I was watching it. It looked as though it was moving more east, looking smaller at the same time until it disappeared. It didn't move very fast in direction, but seemed to be moving fast away. I immediately looked up all satellite launches and rocket launches for my time currently, and they were 0 until tomorrow morning at about 6 to 8 hours from now. Greenville, South Carolina, June 5th, 4:30 p.m. A light-colored, translucent-like sphere appeared to be hovering about 1,000 feet above the ground and swiftly headed northwest toward the mountains. I saw a person sightseeing and taking photos on top of a parking deck between 1 Liberty Square and 2 Liberty Square in Greenville. I noticed something flying overhead. I initially thought it could be a personal drone, but it looked very strange and round. The more I looked at it, the more confused I became, as it was clearly not a drone. It looked round. I called my coworker to come over and look at it, and he saw it too. He asked if it was a plane flying sideways. After watching it for about 30 to 45 seconds, it had moved very far in distance, possibly past Berea. It had registered as very strange, as I see planes and helicopters quite often, and don't recall ever seeing anything with that heading. After about a minute total, it seemed to be over the mountains and just barely visible. The man had opened up his car door and was on his phone. Given the distance and the man on the roof's behavior, it was assuredly not his drone. My coworker and I were both unsure what exactly we saw, but when I had the clearest view of it, it looked spherical and translucent. Sayre, Pennsylvania, June 2nd, 11:58 p.m. Observed 8 to 9 luminous objects in space in orbit violating known physics. Intersected flight paths without collision, instantaneous acceleration, deceleration, and direction changes. No sound, trails, flares. Vanished abruptly, as if teleporting. Silent, anomalous phenomena. This next one has a picture. For those of you fortunate enough to be looking on YouTube right now, you can see the picture. It's amazing. Not the picture, just the technology. You can see pictures while hearing me. This is from Forest Inn, Pennsylvania, June 14th, 12:35 a.m. Really odd orb, thought to be a satellite. It is not showing up on any satellite apps or online sources. Starting away from videos, almost showing a disco effect randomly, disappearing and reappearing in random spots, but in the same vicinity, growing and making weird movements. Corning, New York, June 14th, very bright, larger than surrounding stars. Seemed to know that I saw it. Flew off at a sharp angle. Seemed to be above the airport area. I went outside shortly after dark to take care of my animals at 9 to 9:30ish. Chores took maybe about an hour at the most. On my way back into the house from the barn, I noticed an extremely bright star in the direction of my house. The star, quote, seemed to shimmer or turn slightly toward me, as you might turn your head when you notice someone walking into the room where you are. I say seemed because it was very far away. I got a strong impression that it was looking at me, as if I stumbled upon it and didn't know I was there. And then it shimmered and turned again, quickly flew away at a sharp angle out of sight. It flew up and at an angle. It wasn't a shooting star streaking across the sky. It was bright white, maybe bluish in color, hovering in place. Then it seemed to catch me looking at it, and it quickly flew up and away at a sharp angle. As it flew closer, the color seemed to shift to a green light. No, not a Starlink satellite flying across the sky. It was large, larger than the surrounding stars. It stood out vividly from all the other lights in the sky, and then quickly flew off at a sharp angle, directly into the upper atmosphere. When I saw the light, I said, "Whoa, that's a bright star," just randomly to myself. Or maybe I was standing near the dog, whatever. I watched it for 2-3 seconds before I felt like it was watching me, and then it flew off. It took approximately 3 to 4 seconds for it to fly away and out of sight, getting smaller and smaller as it flew off. The entire encounter took less than 10 seconds. I've had that feeling before that a UFO was watching me. It was kind of creepy. I've talked about it several times, I think, on the show. This was probably around 2009, something like that. 2008, 2005, who knows. But it looked like it was just an orange ball of light that had like a army tank barrel on one side of it, and the barrel thing kind of seemed to be spinning, like turning slowly, and then the barrel kind of pointed in my direction, and it started coming in my direction. It was like 3,000 feet up though. It wasn't in any danger. It just kind of felt like it saw me, and it just kind of drifted away. I live near the Elmira Corning Regional Airport. Sikorsky had a plant in Big Flats near the airport, but is functionally shut down. This is also the direct flight path of many civilian and military aircraft, specifically civilian airplanes and military helicopters. The light, quote, was in an approximate position above the airport and Big Flats facilities. Cleveland, Tennessee, June 15th, 9 p.m. Seen a light in the air, then it got brighter and quickly went in a straight line westward, away from my position. I was observing a vibrant orange, yellow, and purple sunset near the southwest Bradley County line when I noticed an unusual circular light in the sky. My eyes were already well adjusted to the horizon, and I had an excellent baseline for comparison, as there were conventional commercial airplanes clearly visible on their normal regional flight routes at the same time. This object behaved in a manner completely inconsistent with those standard aircraft, a foil balloon, or a meteor. The object initially appeared to sit completely stationary in one spot for a moment. While hovering, it emitted a sudden, intense burst of full, brilliant white light. This dark illumination was intrinsic to the object and did not mirror the warm orange or yellow tones of the sunset. Immediately following this flash of light, the object began moving away from my perspective. It traveled on a deliberate, high-velocity westward path, moving outward and slightly upward along the horizon. It did not drift or sway like a buoyant balloon, nor did it descend rapidly like a meteor. Instead, it maintained a controlled, linear, ascending trajectory, rapidly shrinking in size and fading into the distance in about 1 minute. Crucially, despite the proximity of the object and its extreme acceleration away from a dead hover, the entire event was completely silent. There was no engine roar, jet noise, or displacement of sound of any kind, which rules out conventional military or commercial aircraft. I was taking my dog out before bed, so I did not have a phone to capture any of it. This is only my first-hand event, and only time ever reporting. But we're certainly glad you did. Woodfin, North Carolina, June 15th, 10:08 p.m. Top hat shape with square-shaped lights. Had an unknown color emitting from the lights. Moving erratically. It was like it was observing me. Again. No other known details besides color of the craft. It's weird that the guy from New York also said that it felt like that his was watching him. Interesting. Ballard, West Virginia, We used to have this commercial here in West Virginia, Ballard's Farm. They sold sausage and stuff like that. They had these funny little pigs. I've used the commercial before on the show.
At Ballard's, our delicious salads are now in new packages that seal in all that freshness and goodness. Lift the seal and enjoy the best in fresh salads. There's more with Ballard's new variety pack. Potato salad, coleslaw, and macaroni salad. Convenience in one package, only from Ballard's. And for a special treat, try Ballard's new corn dogs in your microwave. Taste the difference.
Ballard brings the best to you.
They shut down operations back around 2002 or something like that. But if I see Ballard, I just instantly think of that commercial. It's two cute little pigs dancing around in cartoon form, trying to keep your mind off the fact that you're eating little helpless pigs. When I saw this, I wonder, was Ballard's Farm actually in Ballard, West Virginia? I know their company was based in West Virginia, but I don't remember where. Okay, Ballard, West Virginia, June 15th, 11 p.m. The sky conditions: night sky with partial cloud cover. Object characteristics: quantity 1, shape, appearance, solid, distinct pinpoint of light. Color: white/bright white. Sound was completely silent. High altitude. Object was high enough to rule out consumer drones in low altitude aircraft. While traveling at a high, constant speed, the object executed an instantaneous, sharp 75-degree turn. The object maintained the exact same high speed through the entire duration of the turn. It did not slow down to pivot, and it did not accelerate after the turn. At approximately 11 p.m. on June 15th in Ballard, West Virginia, I observed a high-altitude, self-illuminated object tracking from the northwest toward the northeast. The object appeared to be solid, steady point of light, with no visible tail or exhaust. While traveling at a high rate of speed, it executed a sudden, sharp 75-degree turn without losing any velocity or changing brightness. It maintained this new heading at the exact same constant speed until it passed behind a layer of clouds and I lost track of it. This was a single continuous object that did not disappear or fade during the maneuver. I saw one like that before too. I was taking Brandon to a circus back around 2013, 2014. I saw this big bright light in the sky that looked like the space station going toward the west. And it didn't even dawn on me at the time that it was going in the wrong direction. Space station doesn't go to the west. And it was moving right along and I didn't question it. And then just all of a sudden it was going in the direction where it came, to the east. It didn't turn or anything. It didn't slow down or slam on the brakes to kick it into reverse or anything. It was just going one direction, and then at the same speed it was going the opposite direction. Then after that it just kind of started going all over the place. It started going to the north and back to the east and back to the west and just going everywhere. And it was time for the circus to start, so I quit watching it. Super weird. I'm going to go to the judges on this one. I don't know if this is an actual UFO sighting or not. It has a picture. It's a recreation picture, but still a picture. This is from Madison, Alabama, June 23rd. On June 23rd at approximately 4:26 p.m., myself and my wife witnessed 7 metallic orbs fly southeast toward the Redstone Arsenal that afternoon. They showed up in 3 groups. My wife and I were about to make a run to the pharmacy, and I decided to check our mail. The first group was already there when I looked up, the first time checking the mail. At first glance, I thought, oh, mylar balloons, birthday, etc. Until my second look, and I began to see a unified linear movement with a stacked appearance formation. That group was comprised of 4 spheres, all stacked up on top of one another, all moving in tandem, headed southeast toward the arsenal. When I went to get my wife's attention, there was a huge tree blocking her view. And we walked back to the mailbox. The original 4 just disappeared. And then, after a minute, a second group comprised of 2 orbs slowly appeared and started to move in the same direction behind the original 4. The second group of 4 were centered to the first 4 and were moving at the same speed. Just as the 2 were fading at the same place as the first group, a single huge, 2 times brighter orb slowly appeared and moved in the same direction until it faded. Nothing appeared after that. It's like watching a jetliner. They moved at a good clip, possibly 400 to 600 miles an hour. All of the events we saw appeared to take place under the layer of clouds visible. The other thing I will note was the weather on that day and time. It smelled like autumn. There was absolutely no haze in the air that day. Air was crisp and cool, and I want to say ozone charged. The clouds were extremely sharp and detailed, puffy in shape. I bet there were 8 other people I saw when we were out there. No one looked up. We were the only ones that saw it. It lasted maybe 5 minutes total. Some observations. Number 1, it was man-made, not a Mylar balloon. See, that's the thing. It's man-made. The guy decides just on a whim that it's man-made and it's not the Martians. So I don't know. Should disqualify as a UFO sighting. But anyway, his second observation. Orbs moving at commercial airline speed. 3. All movements we witnessed were in tandem with each other, not moving independently. 4. All orbs appeared/disappeared /dissolved in plain view without obstructions, i.e. clouds. 5. Absolutely no sound. 6. Was approximately 15 to 25 feet in diameter. A very modest guess. That's based on how far we think it was, as we see aircraft every single day at all altitudes. Personal note, I have no idea what we saw. I have included a photo/illustration to help explain what we saw. Me and Brandon were enjoying a quiet dinner together at Dairy Queen over in Pikeville, Kentucky. I think it was on June 30th. Brandon is my son, by the way. We were sitting there eating our dinner. We were having tasty cheeseburgers. I looked out the window. It was like 8:30. It was still plenty of daylight outside. And I saw a star. I was like, well, maybe it's a planet. It's getting kind of dark. I don't know. Getting a little late. And then it started moving. And pointed it out to Brandon. He went to the window to look at it. And by the time he got there, it was gone. And then it came back. And it was just moving in that same direction, kind of going toward the south. Looked like a star, though. Craziness. Thanks for listening to the show. The podcast's actually considered a show. When I think of a show, I think of those little Ballard's Farm pigs dancing. Should I put on a show for you? I don't know. But